Hello, this is Mark Bloomhard, the founder and CEO of Boulder & Co. Creative Studios. And today we want to talk about branding as effective means of leadership. My PhD, my research is in brand leadership, steering and leading highly branded organizations. And so it's something I'm very, very passionate about. The problem with leadership is that people just don't care right now. I mean, you see this all over the place. So, you talk about engagement in a workplace, it's as low as anything. There is a poll by the Gallup poll that talked about what people thought about their organizations, and it was about, let's say, 20%. 20% understood where their organization was going. That's 1 out of 5 people. 20% felt like they're committed to their company's goals. Again, that's 1 out of 5. And 20% thought that the company was for them and pushing them in the right direction. Again, that's 1 out of 5. So they talked about, what if you had 11 people on a soccer match? Only 1, maybe 2 people would know which goal was theirs. Only 1, 2 people would be going the right way. Only 1, maybe 2 people on your team would actually be on your team instead of fighting against your team. So if you think about a sporting event, that's ridiculous. Like you couldn't even watch a team. It would be way too painful. But that's how a lot of businesses are being managed or led right now, because they don't have this really clear sense of where they're going. So when it talks about branding, branding is a great way of leadership, because what it does, it connects people emotionally. Now, here's what the problem is. We are trying to be connected by about 240,000 brands on a daily basis. So every day, minute by minute, hour after hour, you're walking through, and I'm looking at Nikon, Adidas, Boulder, on and on. You see brands coming at you all the time. And so you're kind of turning it off. So it's 240,000 brand impressions a day. Your little brain, my little brain, can't handle it. And why should you? Who cares? So when it comes to the business, when you're talking about your organization, it's just another name. Who cares? That name, this experience, isn't breaking through and having an impact on these folks, right? So they're not engaged. They're not there for you. They're not present. They're just kind of biding their time. And so when it talks about branding, branding is that ability to make connections with people at a deep emotional level. Now, the problem is that when we talk to CEOs all the time. I've talked to CEOs pretty much my whole professional life. My whole professional life, I've been a consultant to the C-levels. If you ask pretty much all of them, say, hey, how's your communication? They say, my communication's pretty good, actually. Because everybody thinks they communicate. But they communicate the way they want to communicate. And that's the problem. They got to communicate in a way that effectively connects with their group that they're connecting to, if that makes any sense. And the problem is that 93% of your communication is nonverbal. So when we talk to CEOs, we say, hey, how are you communicating? Communication, arguably, is the most important part of any organization. They're like, well, maybe it's a speech that they give, maybe it's an email. But the problem is they're pretty much all in the 7%. Everything that they're doing is the 7% of the communication. Does that make any sense? So you've got to be able to break through the noise and clutter of a very, very confused marketplace. And so what we do is we live, our wheelhouse is at 93%. It could be videos, it could be just, corporate newsletters, the website, just, the environment. What does your environment look like? Does your environment say that you're professional? Does your environment say that you're here to stay? Does environment mean that you care? What about, where does people work? Does it have, if you're talking about communication, that you really enjoy people, do you have like separate little silos, or, do you have a bunch of cubicles where people just kind of droning or zoning out in? What is your environment, and does that environment reflect your business goals or who you are as an organization? So this entire brand, there's so many facets to it, and it's everything that touches your employees and touches your consumer group. That's your brand. And if you're going to be able to break through the 240,000 other brands that are competing for attention, then you really, really need to make a huge Herculean effort to do so. And that, like I said, that's our wheelhouse. If you'd like to give us a call, see what we can do for you, we'd be glad to do so. But folks, that's branding. That's brand leadership. Making that communication, getting away from just the emails and the speeches that nobody really hears and listens to, and actually making a difference in your communication.